Hey guys, this is Sarah Stephenson from Boys and Ghouls Film Review, and here with me is Mike, my
Yeah,
co-host.
hello guys. I'm Mike. I'm the boy, and Sarah is the ghoul. Sorry.
And tonight we're reviewing that well,
We,
Watcher in the
the
Woods.
Watcher in the Woods. It's a 1980 suspense horror film done. Wait a
Supernatural.
minute, done by the Disney Studios.
Hard to believe, guys.
Now wait a minute.
Just only a couple of weeks ago, I just found this movie, and I never thought in the million years that Disney would make a horror supernatural movie.
Well, anyone can make any movie, but this is where I think one of the first inroads into trying something a bit different. However, all was not well with the production. But anyway, we'll talk about that
what can
later. Now, what this here is, like I said before, it's a Walt Disney production. Produced by Ron Miller, obviously works for Buena Vista, Walt Disney Studios, whatever. Directed by John Howe and Vincent McAvity. I don't think Vincent had any credits on the credit list because he only did some minor directing when they did the reshoots because they changed some endings.
Yeah,
and stuff.
see, the ending was
Yep,
changed
yep.
because, well, there was a bit
There's
of
some problems that people didn't like it. They weren't
back-
satisfied with it. The critics didn't like it. The public didn't like it. And whatever. Irrespective, the screenplay was written by Brian Clemens, Harry Spalding, Rosemary Ann Sison, I think is the right pronunciation of her name, and it's been based on a book called A Watcher in the Woods by Florence Randall. Now, when it gets onto good films and bad films, it's really hard. You know, you're going by box office. You'd say it was a bad movie because it cost $9 million to make and only box office at $5 million. So they didn't get the money back.
No.
So financially, it's a bad movie.
Yeah,
I'm not saying otherwise, just financially.
financially, yes.
Now, I'll roll into the cast, shall I?
Yes, shall.
Now, I haven't got everybody here. There's quite a few people involved. I've got the main people here. Sarah might mention somebody else later. But one of the main people is Bette Davis.
Yeah, she's
Now-
been in a lot of movies, including one ham production called The Nanny that was done in 1965, and she was in Burnt Offerings that was in
She was
1976,
toast, was she?
and Death on the Nile that was in 1978.
She was. She got around, didn't she, old Bette?
Yeah, well, mostly to do with mysteries and a bit of horror for you there.
Well, the thing is that Bette Davis is one of those classic screen actors who I wouldn't say doesn't seem to that seems to handle every role, but they when she takes on a role, she gives the best. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, dear old, I think she was about 70 odd years old when she's doing this one. Yeah, so she's handled it quite well. Anyway, I was going. Yeah, now I'll go through this. Now, Bette Davis plays an old woman, obviously, because she's 70 something years old. Mrs. Islewood. Now, she lives in a cottage next to a big manor house, and she owns a manor house. But she rents it out, make a bit of cash on the side, retirement fund.
Yeah.
Anyway, her daughter went missing about 30 years prior or 40 years prior, and they never found her body, and no one knew what happened to her, and that's the base of the story, obviously. So we won't talk too much about Bette Davis at the moment. Now, Carol Baker plays Helen Curtis, and David McCallum plays Paul Curtis,
Yeah,
their
you may
husband
have,
and wife
you
team.
may have heard mention David McCallum. He was also starred in Frankenstein: The True Story that we reviewed a while back.
And he played Ilya Kuryakin in I Spy. And now they play the mum and dad of the main teenage lead actor.
And we don't
actress,
see Dave too much in this because
he's just a bit. He's but not a bit an actor, but they had to have their parents, and obviously he's not going to be there. He's busy working away a bit.
and it's mostly focused on the children and Betty in this one.
Bet, not Betty. Bet. Okay. Now, can I roll on?
Go on.
I haven't finished the cast yet. You
No.
keep doing this to me. Now, Now, Lynn Johnson plays Jan Curtis. Now, she's the main female lead teenager. Okay. And she plays a pretty good role in this.
Yeah, when I was looking at her face the other day when we were watching it a while back, well, it got me thinking: is there any possible chance that she may have been in a horror movie recently. Not recently, just in the
She's a
past
girl,
too.
yeah.
She looked like the type of girl who would be a final girl, if you ask me.
A bit like Jamie Lee Curtis when she was in Mugglugs. Yeah, whatever. Halloween, yeah. Anyway, and can I finish?
Yeah, go on.
And now, playing her younger sister, now I'm not quite sure it's Kyle Richards or Kylie Richards. That's Kyle, Kyle, but female. And she plays Ellie Curtis, her younger sister. So, now I don't mention some other people, the townsfolk and other people involved, otherwise we're here all bloody night. But do you want to get into what the overview is or the plot?
Yeah,
and
I'll
things,
try
or-
to. I'll try to remember as much as the plot, even though the plot is doesn't have very. It's not very.
Well, basically,
It's
some
not-
people moved to a manor house.
Yes.
In England, obviously. And there's a story around the house where a girl went missing 30 odd years ago. Under suspicious circumstances, no one found any body. The story's told about it, says she just disappeared. No one knows where she went.
And the
and the young girl in here, Jan Curtis, the older daughter, is sensitive to supernatural things, and she feels there's something strange going on in the area.
And she's not the only one. It's her younger sister who's also feeling a bit of a so and so about
but
it
not
too.
to the same degree.
But not in the same degree.
Yeah, but that'll reveal itself a bit further in the story as you talk through the storylines.
Yes.
But that's pretty much what it is. And in the end, obviously, they'll resolve the problem, find what's going on, as Mum would like to see. A positive type ending. But we'll talk about the ending later on.
Yeah,
now,
so-
do you want to tell about the story now?
Yes, so they moved to the mansion, and it's a really nice place. Just so you guys know, Disney has been known for making movies, some of their movies in castles and mansions and stuff. If it's about old-fashioned stuff like that. So anyway, they come there, and it's mostly for the parents' benefit, for inspiration. The mother is a writer, and the husband is a composer.
That's right, yeah, the music, that's right, yeah.
Yes. Anyway, they've been looking for a nice property, and they found it.
Very nice. And cheap too.
Yes. What's that telling you, guys?
Woodworm. No?
No.
No.
So anyway, as they move in, some weird, strange things begin to happen around the eldest daughter.
Yeah, you start seeing little things like
Yeah, like she doesn't.
reflections.
Yeah, like she doesn't see her.
shadows,
Yeah, she doesn't see her reflection in the mirror.
Yeah, well, at one time, didn't see
At one
herself.
point.
Then she saw somebody else in the mirror.
Yeah, a blindfolded girl that's blonde or
It looks similar to her,
Similar to her,
yeah, but not
almost.
her.
But not her actually. Actually, I read somewhere that when they were doing the mysterious woman that was disappeared, they actually had to replace the actress for that.
Did they?
Due to an actor strike that was happening
Oh, that's right, yeah.
back then.
Had a few things going on.
And that's probably one of the reasons why the film is so
Well, actually, that's something.
bent.
That's one thing. With Bette Davis, when they did some of the reshoots after they had to fix up at the end, and when they tried to doctor it, Bette Davis couldn't come back to England, so her extra film footage was done in California and dispatched in the movie.
Yes. So anyway, it has this weird disappearance of this girl, as it turns out. It has something to do with some other kids that were doing a bit of a ritual of sorts.
Yeah, the kids had something like a secret
Initiation.
Yeah, like
if you will.
a group, their little clicky group,
Yeah.
like little kids have it, young
Yeah.
kids and teenagers, and they did something like a spiritual sort of thingy in an old church.
Yeah, they were doing an initiation of a sort of like a club initiation.
At the time of an eclipse as well.
Yeah,
funny
and
that,
they
eh?
blindfold the girl, and they begin reciting, sort of like you swear to be a member, all that stuff. I won't get into the words of
It
how
doesn't
they.
really matter. It's rubbish anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, then something occurs, and the kids begin to scatter because they were scared, and only she never came out. And this is where all the towns wonders what happened.
Yeah, she disappeared.
She disappeared in the
from,
woods.
From a locked room, pretty much. There's only one way out of the old church, and they went out it, and she never came out. And She wasn't in there anymore.
Yeah. Anyway, it has something to do with the eldest daughter and her sister, and somehow whatever supernatural occurrence that's linking them is telling them to repeat this this ritual in order to get the girl out.
I think it's some sort of hint. Doesn't the spirit try to say something?
Yeah, something.
Do it again or something.
Yeah,
or
do
other,
it again,
or
all that
something,
stuff.
Yeah. Some line like that. Do what again?
Yeah, do it again on a particular
and just
time.
so another eclipse is coming up in the next day or so. Funny thing.
Yeah, so Jane, the eldest daughter, she tries to get all the members back together, but some of them took longer to convince because they thought they should not have been meddling, or not. They thought that this thing, whatever they're doing, is just plain old garbage or something.
Well, they thought, garbage, whatever. They thought, something went wrong last time. We don't want to be part of it. Yeah, that sort of thing.
But they do come together and they form a circle.
And they go
and
through
Jane
and say the same words.
Yeah. In the original one, you see a gruesome ghost-like form, or not ghost-like form. It's actually more like an alien-looking creature, and I think that it was the reason why they ended up having to fix up the ending, because the studio, when they released this movie on the first time, and the audience didn't like it very much, so they had to go back and reshoot that scene.
And they left some stuff out of it,
because it was too gruesome or too scary for a young audience.
That's the whole problem. Let's get on to the storyline, because we get into the production stuff later.
Yeah, sure. So they do this. They hold hands. They recite a few some interesting words, and poof, the actually her boyfriend, Jane's boyfriend, is there, and he tries to break the circle and tries to pull her out before she disappears too.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah.
She does disappear.
Well, in the altered ending, anyway, did.
Oh yeah, there's not an ending to it.
Yeah. So anyway, her boyfriend pulls her away just in time, and then
the missing girl appears.
A missing girl appears, and she's reunited with her mum. The end. Sorry, it's a little skeptical because there's so many things there I can't work out whether
we can't tell a full story. The story meanders along.
Yeah, it doesn't tell whether this watcher is a ghost world or maybe an alien world or anything like that. It does actually imply,
even though it doesn't look, even they talk about supernatural and other groovy things, it's not supernatural to me. It's more of a sci-fi horror, because I believe from some notes there that the creature comes from a different dimension. And when the girl accidentally splits with the creature, it stopped this creature from going back home to its own dimension, and it became this watcher in the woods, waiting for over the next 30 years for someone to come and reverse what happened.
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah. So it's a bit of a sci-fi horror.
Another
it sort of lacks on both.
Another thing about this movie, guys, is that I think the ending that it did, it didn't exactly follow the original ending from the original book. This came from a book, so you know.
It didn't. There was they wrote it, they didn't like it, and they rewrote it, and then somebody else tweaked it, and then they had some ideas, and they kept mucking around with it too much. And in the end, there's about 150 different possible endings for it.
Exactly.
Hello, that's what I call commitment.
Yeah, and another thing was that they were running sort of behind filming this film. It was going to be filmed in 1975, but then it ran on to in different times.
But it was done in 1980, wasn't it?
1980,
and actually, even there was, I think it was a 12-week shoot, and I did a post-production period, and that part was rushed because they had something to do. I think the 50-year anniversary for Bette Davis was coming up, and they wanted to release it at the same time. And there's some footage. There's supposed to be some footage about when the I think in the alternate dimension, some footage of that to help make it all make sense.
Yeah.
And they left it out because they didn't have any time to do the post-production for it.
Oh, yeah.
So they left things out, and they tweaked things wrong, and I think this had the makings of a really, really fine I'd say a good family movie. But then they tweaked the round to go for a more of a older
Yeah.
group.
Yeah.
And I think they lost something in the.
Yeah,
in
I think
mucking
that they
around
were.
and- yeah.
I think the problem was they didn't know well, the audience they're portraying this to is going. It was very
Yeah,
complicated.
is it for the kiddies or is it for the teenagers or is it the mums and dads?
Yeah, just so you know that Betty,
yeah.
she also also appeared in another movie called Witch. Was it Witch Mountain?
I don't know. You're telling me. I'm
Anyway,
not reviewing
that was
Bette Davis
that was
at the moment.
another
Yeah.
sci-fi type movie, and
Yeah.
it had her in it, obviously.
Yeah.
And it was another Disney one that was not too bad for its time.
And the problem is Disney was going in a slightly different direction with this movie.
Yeah,
It was so it was like, let's have a go.
yeah, if Disney did a horror much long time ago, maybe we could accept it. But it was coming on too late to.
Well, it wasn't too late.
Or just,
you're saying stuff is
I know it doesn't make sense. It's
you
just
got to do it sometime, but the problem is they didn't. Back in the 80s, maybe not so now because they've been doing things like Tron and other things and other good movies where they actually they're more of an adult type movie.
Yeah, I've seen them do fantasy cartoons,
Yeah.
comedy,
But-
drama a little, sci-fi quite a
But
little
their
bit too.
forte was family movies.
Yeah, it's all about
Yeah.
family movies coming
Back in those
together,
days.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
This one didn't so much say a family movie thing either, even
Yeah.
though by the end the people are reunited. The mother is reunited with her daughter, and the girls are back to their normal selves, and
Yeah.
it feels like
Yeah,
everything's comes together.
A typical Disney ending. Everyone happily ever after sort of thing.
Yeah.
And if you're doing a horror movie and you're trying to get people sitting on the edge of their seats and do something, you have to give them something to get the blood racing,
Yeah.
have you sitting on the end of the seat. The odd jump scare, even only the odd one or two jump scares, it was lacking all these good things which makes a horror movie.
Yeah, it had. I thought the bit with the girl wearing the blindfold, there was something sinister about it.
That was
the first time I seen
really
it.
interesting, yeah.
And then there's the whole things where we see her in the mirror, and
Just little
then
things,
the
yeah.
whole initiation type seance thing that makes me think, ooh, very creepy, like very Hammer Films sort of movie.
It came over as a drama with a little bit of supernatural thrown in, but it just didn't work. And
No.
Again, it was a good movie,
Yeah.
but it wasn't a
But-
great movie. It was simply lacking. to
It's
things,
but you pointed out, Mike, that as you said before, what target audience
Yeah.
is this film meant to be
If I was
for?
going to make a movie today and I was targeting, let's say kids from whatever 5 up to say 12 or 13, you're going to look at their mentality, what they want to see, what's acceptable, and find out that nice balance to make it interesting enough for them to sit down and enjoy, and not too ridiculous for mum and dad.
Yeah.
Because mum or dad might have to watch it with them. So
True.
and that's where Disney had it in the early days. I mean, these cartoons, the movies like Kidnapped and all Treasure Islands, they had good family movies that people could watch together.
And they can
Yeah.
they know that there will be something good coming from it.
Yeah. But then you go, we're going to change it. We're going to try change the target
genre.
audience. Well, every kid back in those days would say, Disney makes kid movies. A teenager wouldn't watch a Disney movie unless you dragged them in there kicking and screaming because they were expected to see a family movie instead of a horror sci-fi something or other, and they wouldn't have liked to go to the pictures to see it. They wouldn't have wanted. Not they would just look at Disney and say, Disney doesn't make that style of movie that we like. So it was that changeover quasi period. And that was Disney's problem with this movie. They didn't handle it properly. They should have really sat down and reinvented the wheel properly. I think had some spokes missing.
Yeah, another thing about this movie, when they did the I think Mike mentioned it earlier that the director, what's his name? John
Howe.
John Howe. He
Yep.
didn't take part in the final cut on the
tweaking,
new ending they developed.
the new footage. Yeah.
Yeah, so he didn't take part in that.
Yeah, they got that guy, that other guy, the Macavity. Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
he did it, and he wasn't credited because obviously you got. I think it's something in the industry saying you have to work on the production for so many hours before you can be credited.
Oh, that's a drag.
Yeah, no, so he didn't get credited, which is a bit sad. But
Yeah, it's not really fair.
I like his ending better.
It was very creepy, I admit, guys.
Yeah, it added a bit to it, which was lacking through the movie. And that extra footage they didn't put in would have helped make the ending better. When they should have said, okay, sorry, Bet, it won't be in time for your birthday or your anniversary date or whatever. It should have been, hey, let's spend another couple of weeks or another month getting the ending right.
I would have loved it if they bothered to. I mean, not bothered. I'm being rude now. I mean, I wouldn't mind if they had more planning when they were working on this film. Like,
I don't know planning. That's again. I guess it's got a good storyline.
True, but it's
and they could have shown it. Look, the camera work's great. The sets are great. Everything's great, but there's just that. Is it supposed to be a comedy? Is it supposed to be a drama? Is it supposed to be sci-fi? Is it supposed to be horror?
Well,
I don't think they got the right genre happening.
Yeah, I think they. I mean, it didn't have enough. It had a little bit of drama in it, but not enough. There was no comedy in it, which made it a lot different than other Disney movies in the past.
Yeah, a little bit of levity there breaks the tension a bit. So the next bit when you come and get back in the drama or jump scare, it sort of. Yeah. It sort of makes you feel at ease before the jump scare comes along or something. You know,
I think that they even said this was made in Pinewood Studios.
Yeah, Pinewood, I think, yeah.
Yeah, a studio up in England somewhere.
England, yeah. So yeah, I think James Bond done Pinewood or something else.
I think that was someone else. I think
that
that was Alien we were referring to.
Well, they got some good studios over there. Yeah, Pinewood and Shepperton.
I mean, I just wish that this movie. I wish if they were looking at making a haunted movie, I would have loved it if they made one about that the other ghost movie. What was it called?
The Haunted Mansion.
No, not that one. I'm thinking of that one about the ghost who tries to tries to go back to the previous life, but he's stuck in a mansion and tries.
Oh, the Cannibal Ghost.
Yeah, the Cannibal. Yeah. I would have thought that would be something Disney would probably jump into.
That had humour in it.
It had humour, and the ghost is funny, and there's a bit of a storyline there, a really good one.
That's a funny. I saw the original one, and I think there's another one made with Patrick Stewart, was it?
Yeah, Patrick Stewart. This would have been something up Disney's street if they could
something
do
like
it.
that. But if they added a bit of humour to this and made it a bit more light-hearted, it might have worked. Or if they made it a bit more sinister and darker, it might have worked. But it's in the middle ground. It's in that no man's land area, and
and of course, to some people, this is definitely not territory that Disney should have walked into.
Not then. Well, if they're going in there, they needed someone to help them.
At least a plan in place.
Yeah, and I think I'm not knocking the directors. I'm not knocking the producers.
Me neither.
Please don't get me wrong.
And I'm not knocking
No, forget the actors.
The
actors can only do what the producers and directors want them to do. Okay. But despite what critics say, I mean, they say, here's the script, do your words. But if the storyline's lame and the script's not up to speed, you're not going to have a good product.
Yeah, true.
But no matter how good the director directs, he's only got a script to work with, and if he doesn't have a good grip on which way it's going, or the producers are telling him this, that, and the other, and pulling him in 2 or 3 different ways, he's not going to be able to do a good product.
It could explain a lot why this one has been under the radar when you think about it.
It dropped off the planet. It's not Disney won't even stream it.
Yeah, they're not going to be screening it on Disney Plus. Just so you guys know.
No streaming, no nothing. The only way to see this, I think, is via YouTube. You can't get it on Amazon. You can't get it on streaming. You can't get it anywhere. Yeah, they don't. To me, it looks like it's an embarrassment to Disney.
Yeah, it's
because they don't want to remember it.
Yeah.
So, it's a shame because it had the potential to be a good transition movie. That's a good word. That's a nice word, transition movie, from the family stuff into something a bit more media.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it was something they were not ready for, or if they weren't prepared
for it. They didn't handle it properly. They went in like children. I think to a certain degree, they didn't really know the market they were aiming at.
The only market was family films. And it's a little hard to break away from that thing into another
Because
area.
it started off feeling like an ordinary Disney movie, didn't it? Really, to me, anyway. It's like, oh, here's mum and dad and the kids going to rent a house, very nice, right? Yeah, normal Disney sort of stuff, but not quite as happy and chirpier. But still the Disney feel to it.
Well,
but then the
I had a
darker
different
stuff should have been darker.
Yeah, I did think that when I was looking at it, I thought it was a bit confusing when I look at it.
Yeah, well, that's another point too. There's no really in the beginning of the story, you don't know what's happening. Well, watch it in the woods. What do you have, a pervert out there? Do you have a goblin out there? Do you have a ghoul out there? Do you have some sort of alien type creature out there? Nothing's explained all the way through the movie until the last 5 minutes. So you don't know what's going on half the time.
Yeah, and how you know whether or not doing the ritual again will
do anything. And how did the girl know?
Except for
that was a guess.
a guess from the spirit, the unknown thing out there.
Well,
which
maybe someone's giving it a bit of a ESP, telekinesis, something or other.
That's what it is.
And say, we need to redo this. Okay. And she did it. But it was just, it's sort of like, the movie we talked about the other day was Eraserhead.
Yeah.
We're talking about Eraserhead. Now, Eraserhead is said to be a good cult movie. I can't follow it. Okay. Now, the point is, I don't know what's going through this movie. I've watched it 2 or 3 times trying to analyse it. There's no good explanation of why it's happening and the things that whatever's doing. It should be maybe a flash panel up saying, this is in year so-and-so or other after a major war or something. Nothing. Don't know. Why is this guy living in a dumpy area? Why are these other people living in a dumpy area? And this movie's the same. No one knows what's going on until the last 5 minutes.
I think it's because, to me, that I know Disney so well. I've watched all their movies, and I've watched them really. I watched them throughout my childhood and my growing up.
So did I. And I'm in my 60s. I remember Old Yeller, great movie. Kidnapped. All the other ones. Yeah, all the good old ones.
I've seen all of those ones,
great movies.
And I know what to expect. And when I see this movie, I feel confused. Like I can't make out. Are we still watching Disney, or are we watching a Hammer film?
Or some newbies.
Yeah, I mean, originally, did you know that guys that Hammer started off as doing sort of sci-fi at first, and then they moved on to making horror and a bit of drama,
they did a
mystery, and
TV
a bit
shows.
of I mean, a bit of mixture of stuff.
And they handle it reasonably well. I mean, not as polished as Hollywood.
I mean, if Hammer did this movie, they could have made it into a lot more better.
They may have, and it was done in England.
Or maybe Hammer, they tried to approach Hammer, but they didn't. They kind of said no, we won't do it.
Well, Hammer would have been a production company like
and
Disney.
not to mention, Hammer was kind of closing up shop by the time the 80s were coming around.
Yeah,
I don't know why. Maybe they just ran out of ideas. I don't know.
Well, maybe money, because they were doing. I think Hollywood had the lion's share of the world market in America, Australia, UK, whatever, other English-speaking areas, and probably through Europe as well. And Hammer couldn't compete. And there used to be a lot of film studios in England over the years, and I think a lot of those did close down. Some of the smaller studios, and the bigger ones remained, like Pinewood and Shepperton and those sort of ones. Shepperton? Yeah, whatever. And the problem is, I think Ealing was not one of the early studios. I don't know if they exist anymore or been gobbled up by somebody. There's a lot of old ones just went because they just can't compete with the guys who are doing the high quality stuff. Yeah. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So, do you want to rate this now? Because I don't want to end up starting trash talking this movie.
Honestly, I don't want to rubbish Disney.
Me neither.
All the people who produced it or directed it, and look, hey. I know it's hard to make a movie, okay, and I value everybody who's in the industry who really sincerely tries. I think these people tried hard to make a really good movie, but there's something that there wasn't.
It was just lacking something.
Lacking something. There's magic to make it a good movie. It is lacking something. So I mean, directorship is good, acting's good, sets were good. I mean, acting was Disney style. I mean, I'm not saying anything against Disney type acting, but the kids are kids.
You can't.
You can't actually make them come to speed if they haven't got the skills of a seasoned professional. Now, I would say, honestly, with its limitation of the storyline and the dynamics, I'm going to give it a 7.5.
I'm gonna give it 7.5 too.
Yeah. But it's a good watch if you like Disney and you want to see a transition style movie. Now, if you do download it on YouTube, now look at it.
Yeah.
It's got one ending, and then you can also download the alternate ending.
Yeah, that's the one I told you guys about. That's much more darker, and you get the
and that was heading in the
creature.
right direction, and but they still need to do the extra footage, which they didn't do. Because of that anniversary thingy of Bette Davis being 50 years in the industry or something or other. And they should have actually, done it and say, okay, sorry, Bette.
Yeah, it would have been great if they did do that bit of footage just to explain where did her daughter go to all this time.
Yeah, it shows you the other dimension.
Yeah.
Where this creature comes from.
Yeah.
And actually, in the new ending, it shows you the alien creature.
Yeah.
Where the first ending and it was pretty lame.
Yeah.
Well, what a beam of light, flash, boof, there you go. It doesn't do anything.
No, I mean it doesn't explain too much.
Yeah, so the revised ending was heading in the right direction.
Yeah, the only problem is either the audience didn't like it or
it's too late.
It was too late.
It's too late. It's been released now. It's going to be a re-release.
Yeah, it's just like when I told you guys about Sonic the Hedgehog, when they released their first trailer of that movie, and the audience didn't really respond well to it.
Yeah, so they had to redo him.
Yeah, and that meant going back to get the actors in order, get them to change into their costumes again, and reciting the lines and stuff like that.
I thought it was a cartoon character.
No, I meant the human being actors who had to wear their costumes.
I was going to say.
Despite the fact when you look online, you see the major differences.
Yeah, there are. Actually, there are. Now, that's another story. I'll leave. I was going to talk about an old sci-fi where they stopped making it and somebody else started making it several years later with different actors and different costumes. Right. Yeah, so no, we won't go into that now. Anyway, I think I've got nothing else to say about it. This is not a horrible bad movie. It's a passable movie which could have been significantly better, and there's something's wrong with it. And I think it's worth a look, and we'd really appreciate your comments, guys, because if you go to it's free on YouTube. Have a look at it. I think it's lacking that little bit of magic just to get it sparked and make it just that little bit better, and that's why it didn't go good in the box office.
Yeah.
Pity.
Anyway, so before we head off, I'd like to remind our viewers or listeners about how next month we'll be going to Brisbane Backyard Film Festival. If you guys are in Brisbane or in Queensland, we're going to be we're got Attack of the Cat People trailer in their competition.
It's going to be assessed.
So it's going to be assessed and voted on. So if you guys are in town or in Brisbane, feel free to come by and check it out.
Yeah, we'll be there, Sarah and myself.
Yeah, we'll be there, and I'll be sure to check us out.
Yeah, I can't. And that's at West End, isn't it? West End. West End Croquet.
Croquet Club.
Yeah, in Brisbane. Yeah. So anyone who lives in Brisbane or close to it and can get there, ring up. You can ring up or you can book online.
You have to book. You have to buy your tickets online.
So Brisbane Backyard Film Festival, is it?
Yes.
Yeah. Brisbane Backyard Film Festival. Order a ticket online and appear. It'd be really good to see you guys.
And it would be great if we can get your vote of confidence on our upcoming film project.
Yeah, and then you can see us and say hello to us and buy me a beer. No. Okay, I will.
But anyway, as we're saying, signing off, I'll just say that please offer your support on our film projects, and hopefully we'll see you guys next month.
Exactly.
So
Anyway.
that's about it for us today.
Yeah.
So this is Sarah Stephenson
And Michael Stephenson.
saying see you guys around.
Goodbye, guys.
Bye.